Welcome, everybody. So, today's my birthday, February 9th. If you're listening or watching it on today, it's that uncomfortable day of the year where people show me way too much attention. So, thank you anyway. I do appreciate the love that people share on my birthday, even though it's not my favorite day to celebrate. It's still very weird for that people celebrate my birthday whenever there's so many other people out there that could, deserve all the other attention. So anyway, thank you. But also, I will never not get tired of James Marsters um, singing happy birthday to me in Spike voice. It's a personal highlight of mine. But also, on the 3rd, we celebrated 6 years. Last year was the big 5-year anniversary, and, it was great. 6 years going strong, 56 countries. Everything is amazing. I appreciate, out of all the thousands and thousands and the millions of podcasts out there, you are watching or you are listening to mine, and I don't ever take that lightly. Thank you. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Today's guest, which I feel like is a great way to celebrate, not just my birthday, but also the 6 years that this show has been going on, is the author of A Man Rising, Jaime McCormick. Just honestly met the guy. We just had a brief conversation about a week or so ago. And he was, it was always good to be able to talk to new people. And especially whenever they have a tremendous story to tell. So without further ado, let's get to Jaime McCormick.
Quiet of the night where dreams take flight, voices whisper softly, shining like the stars so bright. Every heart has a story, don't you ever forget. Let's open our minds, share the journey, no regret. Here we gather, a circle of hope, sharing laughter and tears, we learn just how to cope. Every tale we tell, it helps to heal our souls. In the space of understanding, together we become whole. So let the words flow, let the music rise. In your head with Shannon, the stories come alive. Every heartbeat echoes where our spirits thrive. From fears to triumphs, we'll paint the skies anew. In this podcast journey, I'm here with you.
Well, Jaime, how are you, sir? And thanks for coming.
I'm good, and thank you for having me.
So, this show is you telling your story, and there's no better way to start your story than the beginning. So what was Jamie's childhood like?
Fun. Me and my brother, and my mom, we did a lot of traveling. My dad wasn't in the picture too much. My family lives in Indiana. My grandfather lives in Nebraska. Well, lived before he passed away. So we did a lot of traveling. The Dakotas, all over. We did a lot of stuff. I never had very many friends growing up because we did a lot of moving, but I had so much fun. We went to the Rocky Mountains. We went to Mount Rushmore, Chimney Rock, Reptile Gardens. I could just name the things that we did just by traveling. So my childhood was fun, a lot of fun.
What was your relationship like with your mom?
Oh, it was good. It was good. As I was saying, dad wasn't in the picture, so mom's all we had. So,
I mean, I get that.
Right,
basically the same way with me, is dad really wasn't much there. So I always grew up really super close to my mom. Do you have a relationship with your dad now, or?
Well, no. He passed away some years ago, and he was dead for 6 years, and I didn't even know about it.
Oh shit!
And then his best friend, who recently passed away, talked to my mom. Said, "Oh yeah, tell old boy, his dad died. Da 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 da. All I know is he's buried somewhere in Coolidge, Michigan, or Coleridge, however you say it. I don't know how he died. I don't know if he was in his living room, if his diabetes got him, if he's at the hospital. I don't know anything about it. I just know he's gone." And after that, all of a sudden I had all these questions. I was never mad at him for not being around. Cool, man, whatever. When he was around, we were, he was a father. He wasn't mean. He wasn't rude. He was a dad, and he just made bad decisions. He was a factory worker. He went to jail for marijuana and stuff back before the laws changed back in the 70s. And that's just the kind of guy he was. He wasn't ready to settle down, none of that stuff. But after he died, all of a sudden I had these questions for him that I wish I would have asked when he was around. And I just wanted to say, hey, Dad, how are you? But now I'll never get that chance. And that's why I always teach people to redeem the time, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow, but neither are people you want to talk to.
Right.
We
Yeah.
can, you and I could both die before we get off this interview tonight. That's why I always encourage people, do what you want to do and do it now, because the graveyard is the richest land ever. That's where all the dreams go, all the businesses, all the ideas, all the inventions that you never get off the ground because you never take action.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. So, as you're growing up, what was your school like, or school life like?
Yeah. Well, we went to about 10 different schools before we
I can
graduated.
imagine.
Yeah. I went to school in 5 states, Indiana, Georgia, Nebraska, Wyoming, and Oklahoma. So we went to a lot of schools. So my school life, like I said, I never had friends because we were never in one place too long. And then we finally moved to a small town in Oklahoma called Allen when I was a
Mhm.
junior, and that's where I graduated. So most of my friends came from that 2 years. That's probably the longest we ever stayed at any one place, and that was new for me. And so yeah, my school life was just school. I don't have any of those friends that I've had for 50 years because we didn't stay in one place long enough. And again, I'm not complaining. We had a lot of fun moving. Enjoyed it.
I was going to say, I mean, do you think that at any point do you regret, any of that, or do you wish that you had stayed in one place a little bit longer to make those friends?
No, I like the friends I have now. And if knowing what I know, then I wouldn't have had the experiences that I had, all the movement, all the fun, all the adventures, all the things we did. No, that stuff was cool. We did a lot of stuff.
All right, okay, that's fair. That's fair. What about after school? What was life for you afterwards?
Well, okay. Afterwards, when we graduated here at Allen, my mom and my stepdad got a divorce. We had a hunting lodge between two towns, and it didn't work out. So mom and him got a divorce, and we were going to go back to Indiana. But my brother died in 1990. He was 19 years old in a drunk driving accident. He was a
Oh,
passenger. Took all the wind out of mom's sails. So we just stayed here. And we always planned on going back, but then I got addicted to drugs. Things happened, and my daughter was born, and we're just kind of here now. But my life after that, even after my brother died before I got addicted to drugs, was still a lot of fun. I met some guys, and we played Dungeons and Dragons. We read comic books. We played video games. We went skydiving. We went to concerts. We went skinny dipping. We did, I mean, all the fun things that you're supposed to do. We did it. There's not much we didn't do. And there was never like two or three of us running around. It was always five or six because, like I said, there was like 15, 18 of us, a lot of us. And when we went to the theaters together, we all went. We went out to eat. We all went, and it was a lot of fun. And then I joined martial arts when I was about 22. I walked into the dojo and I was just sitting there, and the instructor came up to me. He goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "That's pretty cool." He said, "You want to join?" I went, "Nope." He said, "Why not?" And I said, "Don't have the time." And he said, "What are you doing now?" And I went, "Wasting time." So he gets me out there out on the floor, and I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing this stuff like this. I grew up Saturday mornings watching Black Belt theater. That's what I thought it was. It's the only perception I had. And this
right.
dude kicked me in the chest and knocked me like 4 feet into the wall. Boom. And I was like, man, I am out of my league. What am I doing here? But something about it intrigued me, and I stayed, and I got my black belt within a year and a half, which is another myth busted because you're taught it's a lifelong journey and all this stuff. No. And in a year and a half, I had my black belt, and we were iron. Like nobody could beat us. We fought bare knuckled. We fought no pads, full contact, because our instructor told us on the street, no one's going to wait for you to put pads on. They're not going to say, "Oh, did that hurt too much?" No, you don't know what they're here for. And he always taught us. He taught us a couple things. He said, one, there's always somebody better than you, and two, what was it? Oh, always walk away from a fight. And then when they won't let you, make them wish it had to let you.
Oh, that's
So, so I don't care if people calls me a name. Cool, whatever. I don't care if they call my family a name. Cool, whatever. Oh, you want to touch somebody? Now we have an issue. But I keep in the back of my mind, there's always someone better than me, and that might be the guy I'm fixing to scrap with. You never know, because there's so many trained people out there. But back then, we were iron, man. I remember I was a green belt in karate, and this black belt came in. I was like, oh my God, a black belt. He was a black belt Shotokan karate. So we're doing our workout, and I remember this specifically, man. We were doing push-ups, and I was like, I started looking around. I couldn't see this dude, and I was like, where's he at? Well, he walked out. He took his black belt off, handed it to another student. He said, I'll come back when I'm a real black belt. So we were green belts out doing a black belt.
Oh, wow.
That's how intense we were.
Nice.
And our black belt test was so rough that a guy named Phil Porter, he was the president of the United States Martial Arts Association before he passed away. He saw the tape of our black belt test, and he told my instructor, he said, don't you ever have a test that tough again. There's no, it was rough. It was 3.5 hours of just full tilt, nonstop turbo. And yeah, it was, but in 1994, my instructor said, hey, you need to consider training and trying out for the 1996 Summer Games representing America in martial arts in the Olympics. I was that good, but I didn't think I was that good. And I wasn't considering, he would not have asked me if he didn't think I could win.
Right, yeah.
But myself, because them guys are good. I mean, the Olympics, that's a whole, I was here.
Yeah.
Olympics were, up here. And that's probably the only thing I ever regret is not doing. If I'd have come in 10th, there's only 9 guys better than me. If I'd have come in 20th, there's only 19 guys on the earth better than me. But what if I'd have came in first? Now I'll never know. I always heard there's nothing mightier than sword or pen except 4 mighty words. What might have been.
Oh.
That's probably the only thing I ever regret. And the reason I didn't go is I had recently met some guys who played music. I play bass guitar. And they were into, man, we were loud. Rock and roll, Metallica, Pantera, raw. We were just playing it. Well, they introduced me to harder drugs. I always drank and smoked pot. Well, all of a sudden, here was meth. Here was cocaine. Here was mushrooms. Here was acid. And it slowly took me away from martial arts to where I just kind of never went back. And that's a real reason I didn't go to karate. There was me and a friend of mine named Roy that when we would fight, people would pay attention to what we were fighting. Sorry, I just dropped my pick. I don't want to lose it. I'll find it in a minute. But we would get the whole school's attention. Like, you could hear it go, man, Jamie and Roy are fighting. And we fought through steel chairs. We fought through people. And it was just nonstop. And that's the way we did it. Well, I remember I walked in one time and everybody kind of put their head down. They go, hey, man, he's on drugs now. And I remember hearing that. And instead of letting it push me to be better, I let it push me out of martial arts altogether. And I hardly ever went back. I worked out a few times since then, but I'm not anywhere near the shape I was. And I know I can get back to it. I did it once.
Well, let's go into, I mean, if you don't mind, let's go into the drug addiction. What do you remember the day that it started?
I remember the day I knew I was addicted.
Okay, let's go with that.
Because we were snorting meth and all this time, and I had some friends who would always shoot up. They would use a needle. You want to try it? I was like, nope. And each of them got high in very different ways. One would just draw these very cool pictures. One guy was a long-haired Indian. He would just play guitar. I mean, he was Dimebag Darrell good. This guy was immaculate on guitar. And then another guy who was half Mexican, he had real long hair. He would just comb his hair for hours. He would just comb his hair. So they had 3 different highs that they would do. And I would just snort it. And I'd sit back and watch them. Like, wow, they're really freaking out. And then they finally taught me into doing it one time. And when I did it, I knew it was in control. I knew I was I was slipping down the slope, but it was such a rush, man. And the best way I can explain it is it's an uncontrolled energy. You just have to do something, like drawing a picture, combing your hair, playing guitar. You have to do something. But that's when I knew I was losing it. And we got bad on it. It was, I talk about drugs, people are like, yeah, whatever. You guys don't know. We got bad, super bad. Me and a friend actually shot up Kentucky Deluxe in our veins one time because we were out of meth. And he said, I got some whiskey. I said, I got a needle. He said, I got a spoon. And we looked at each other and just boom, 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 drew it up, slammed it in our arm. And so yeah, we got pretty rough on it. But the first time I ever did the needle, that's when I knew it was over.
What was your rock bottom?
When the girl I was dating called me, probably November 2001, and she said, hey, I have to talk to you. I said, cool, we're talking this and that. And within 5 minutes, she goes, I have something to tell you. I said, what's that? She said, I'm pregnant and I'm leaving you for your best friend. All in the same sentence. And I was just like, I was in shock. But my drug out of mind, I was worried more about the friend screwing me than having a kid. Right? But you don't think right when you're all messed up. But I put the phone down. I went in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror, and I'd seen myself 1,000 times in this mirror. But I wasn't the cool guy. I wasn't the martial artist. I wasn't the musician. I wasn't none of that. I was a junkie. My skin was shiny. My eyes were black and sunk in. My hair was greasy. And I knew something had to change because my dad wasn't around. And I knew that this child coming into the world would need a dad, and that change had to be me. And I was 31 years old then. And that 31 years of life, I did things my way. The one-night stands, the fistfights, the concerts, the comic books, the Dungeons and Dragons, the drinking, the drugs. All it did was get me addicted to drugs with a child on the way. And I thought, man, what else can I do? And I thought, I'm going to start going to church. Because that was the only thing I hadn't done at that time. I'd done everything. And I asked myself this question. I said, if God is so loving, because I always heard he was. We went to church when we were kids. We just did it because that's what you do. We never prayed. We never read scripture. We never applied it. We just, hey, we're at church. Hey, good, high five. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but I'd always heard that God was loving. So I asked myself this, looking in the mirror. I said, if God is so loving, how much more could he mess my life up? Because I did a pretty good job at it. So I started going to church. Still going to church. Yeah. Am I perfect? No. Do I still sin? Yep. But that was my complete turnaround. And if it wasn't for God, I'll be honest, I don't think I would be here. I think he gave me my daughter to keep me alive. Not that we were suicidal. None of us were. We just didn't care.
No.
We wanted to get high as fast as we could, as hard as we could, on it as much as we could. And if you were coming, you did it with us, or we left you behind. And a lot of people we left behind because they just couldn't hang with it. We were rough about everything. We were intense. We were, you know, how people talk about turning your speaker knob up to 11. We went to 200. I mean, it was just, we were out of control. So my daughter coming was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I quit drugs right then and there. No withdrawals, no rehab. I did drugs 2 more times with the same guy. And then finally I said, dude, I can't do this. I said, if you want to walk this path with me, that's cool. I said, I'm not going to go to hell with you. And it took him 30 more years to finally get off drugs. And he had kids and stuff and all this jazz. But yeah, when she said, hey, I'm pregnant, that was my rock bottom. I was jobless, couldn't hold a girlfriend, had a kid on the way. Yeah, that was my rock bottom.
Okay, so we're talking, that's your rock bottom. Okay. Well, let's talk about like the best thing that's ever happened to you, and that being your daughter.
Right.
Let's talk about that first moment that you see your daughter like in your hands.
Right. The first time I held her, she fit right here. You know, she was 3 days old. The mom said, don't come to the hospital. We'll beat you up and all this. She was mad at me because I was on drugs. So I chose not to go. So I didn't see much off for 72 hours. And I held her and I was just looking at this little being that was mine. And she was falling asleep in my arms. And I thought, there's a peace that she has with me holding her. And I thought, man, this is amazing. And it was the greatest feeling I've ever had. And since then, I've got 3 grandkids and 1 on the way. And that's another whole different type of love. You think you love your kid, wait till your grandkids get here. That's just different.
Yeah, that's what my mom says all the time.
Right. You know, but holding my daughter was just like, oh, you know, it's like I knew what life was for all of a sudden. I was made to be a dad.
Yes.
100%.
Oh, yes. I completely agree. I have a daughter too, and she's my firstborn. And growing up, I didn't want kids because my dad was not in the picture, and I didn't want to be that guy. So I legitimately was just so worried that I don't want a kid. I don't want a kid. And then like I had my daughter, and like I think it was the first time in my life that I openly wept and did not shy away from like people seeing me. She like I've told her many times that she saved me, and she had no idea that she was saving me. Whenever the minute that I held her.
Right. I tell my daughter, that she's beautiful and I love her. And she goes, Dad, you said that a million times. I said, I'm going to say it a million more. I said, you
Oh
literally
yes,
saved my life, and I'm kind of like you. I didn't want to be my dad. He wasn't around. So I knew to be a good dad, I had to do what my dad didn't do. My dad didn't
yes,
teach me nothing except what not to do.
yeah.
And, and what not to do, don't show up. So I did the opposite of that. And I was there and I fought and I went to court and I got custody. I started with every other weekend, every Wednesday, child support. And then she said, hey, I'm going to move to New Mexico, which is where she was from, her mom. And I was like, man, I'll never see my daughter hardly. So I went to court for custody. Now, here's the weird thing. I was working at a psychiatric hospital when this happened. I was in my scrubs. I was at work. Someone told me to call my attorney. So I called my attorney and they go, where are you at? I said, I'm here at work. They go, you have an appointment today. I said, that's tomorrow. They go, no, that's today. I was like, what? So I told my boss, I got to go, just ran out. I get to the court. I'm sweaty. I'm late. I'm in scrubs. I need water. I'm talking like this. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. And I sit down. I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm winning. There's no way I'm getting this. So we go through it all. I'm talking to the judge, asks me what I do, and asks me if I'm a counselor. We talk through all this, and at the end of it, I hear we find it's best interest of the father, or best interest of the child to remain in the custody of the father. And I won. And I went, holy smoke. But I wasn't ready. I went from not being a dad to being a part-time dad. Well, a couple weeks later, I went from being a part-time dad to a full-time dad. I wasn't ready for that. The food, the doctor's appointments, the bills, all of a sudden were mine. And I wasn't ready for that, but we dove into it. And we got it done. And now she's 23, just grew up beautiful, And so, yeah, that's how I ended up with the custody of my little girl.
I mean, sometimes the good Lord will just unload all the blessings that you've ever really wanted at you, just to see if you're ready. And whenever you think you're not ready, you're ready. That's when you're ready.
Right, right. I've always heard it said, um, okay, problems and opportunities both come whether you're ready or not. You're not
Oh
ready for a
yeah.
flat tire. You're not ready for someone to die. You're not ready to be a dad. You're not ready for this, but your job is to get ready. So when they come, you are ready.
Oh God, yes, yes.
You know,
So you mentioned that your brother died.
yeah,
How old was he whenever he passed away?
19.
19.
He was
How old
19,
were you?
20.
Okay. So can you take us to, well, first, before we get to him dying, what was your relationship like with your brother?
Oh, it was great. We have fought a lot. I was the older brother trying to always, be the one up. I think at the point where he was beating me up, and so yeah, we got along good. No one picked on us but us. Don't dare touch him. Don't touch me. He's got you. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty good.
So what happened the with his death, if you don't
Right.
mind me asking?
No, no. It was December 8th, 1990, and we were having a party. My brother was working. He was a manager at Kentucky Fried Chicken here in town. My best friend wasn't at the party. He was working at a plastic cup factory, and we were just drinking. And it was a stormy night out. It wasn't real bad, misting, lightning everywhere, just a weird vibe. Cool December day or night. And my brother came in, and I was throwing up over a parking. We had a parking curb. I was leaning over that, just throwing up. And he walked in. I said, hi. He said, hi. He walked in the house. So I don't think nothing about it, right? We go on, do about our day. And my brother was supposed to go to my mom's house because she was nervous because of the storm. Well, the storm quit, and she called him and said, don't worry about coming over. Go enjoy yourself. So he came to the party. So we leave. I didn't know that he left. And when we had a party, we always tried to hide the keys. We didn't want no one driving. We wanted it as safe as you could get on one of our parties. And our parties were legendary. Man, I mean, there's so much alcohol. So, oh my goodness. So he left. I didn't know. And I go to bed and my head is just pounding. I'm like, oh my goodness. I wake up about 3 in the morning and I'm stumbling down the hallway, my hand on the wall. And I come in the living room. There are two people sitting, and my brother's girlfriend is sitting on the couch with her hands between her knees. And I can hear the static on the speakers. And that's the first thing that got me. But there's no music. There was always music, and it was loud at our parties. And I said, what happened? And she said, Mike and Mike had been in a wreck. My brother's name was Michael, and another friend of ours named Michael. had left. And I said, that's okay. They'll be okay. And she went, yeah, like she didn't really believe it. So I go back to bed because, again, I'm just not feeling it. So I go back to bed and I lay down, probably 7:30, 8 in the morning. A friend of mine wakes me up. He said, we have to go to your mom's. And I said, what happened to my brother? He said, we have to go to your mom's. He had gotten home earlier, heard about the wreck. The cops came and told him that there was a wreck with 2 guys and they don't know which one died, but one of them died. So he just hauls off as quick as he can to the next town, blows the engine in his car trying to get there because he's trying to get there so fast, and finds out that it was my brother who passed away. So I'm standing there just in awe of what he just said, and then a guy walks by, he goes, this is for his coffin. He hands me an American flag folded in a triangle. No one ever told me he was dead. They just said stuff like that made me put 2 and 2 together that my brother's not coming back. So we get in a car and we go to my mom's house, and she was just, the sound she was making, it wasn't human. I've never lost a sibling. I've lost a brother. I've never lost a child. I've lost a sibling. But the sound she was making just, it wasn't human, And so we hugged her, and then we had to deal with all this. So we have his funeral, and of course the guy who was driving when he died is there. The people are mad at him. They're pushing him against walls. I'm like, dude, stop. They're like, he shouldn't be here. I said, well, first of all, it's not your brother's death, it's mine. And second of all, this is a funeral. This isn't the place to do this. So I get them all calmed down. And later on at the funeral, I'm looking across the parking lot at him. He's standing there. He's got his head down. And as I was looking at him, I thought, he has to live with this every day of his life. My brother died, but he has to live with what happened. And I walked up to him and I just gave him a big hug. And he and I became super good friends after that. And people didn't understand it. And I said, well, man, it's not about you. This is how it happened. He and I became really good friends. I was protective of him. Don't mess with him. He's my friend. And once I realized that he has to live with this, like this overwhelming, like, forgiveness just came on me. Like this, he's going to need somebody. And we don't hardly talk now, but back then we did. And then we had to ship my brother's body to Indiana to have the second funeral because people couldn't get off work to come down. So I had to have 2 funerals for my brother. So we shipped it up there and did it all again. So.
One funeral's bad enough, but doing it twice, man, that's got to be just completely numbing.
Yeah, and both funerals were just packed with family and friends, dude. He had family and friends here, Nebraska, all over. It was just packed. Both places. He was so loved. So
with everything that you, with the drugs and your brother dying, and you talked about how your life started to change whenever you had your daughter. So let's go back to the comeback. Like, what was life? What did you do to get your life together?
Oh, 1, stop doing drugs. 2, I stopped hanging around people that did drugs, including my friends that I played music with. And we were jamming every day. We were getting good. We actually did a cover of Metallica's song Seek and Destroy.
Oh,
What we did is we shortened it down. It's like a 6-minute, 28-second song. We shortened it down to like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, right? We just jammed it. And we were actually going to record it, send it into Metallica and say, here's how you should have played your song. Because it was just short, just jamming. We were brazen about it. So I stopped hanging around them. Hey, you coming to practice? No. I got a friend who wanted me to bring my daughter over. I said, man, you still sleep with everyone you can. You'll do drugs, you high. I don't want my daughter around that. I'm not coming over. But you can't tell me how to act around in my own house. I can't if you want my daughter to step in your door. Yes, I can. Those she's not, those things aren't allowed around her. You're either a friend or you're not. And they weren't. So I quit hanging around them as much. I still see them every year or so. But those friendships were gone. And then I just started bettering myself. Because I didn't want to, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't want to be my dad. I wanted to be more. So I took a job at a psychiatric hospital. I started doing groups with people of all kinds of ethnicities and backgrounds and cultures and education levels and financial levels. We had homeless people. We had athletes. We had professors and artists and musicians. We had a guy that played on, Bob Dylan's record. I think it was 1979. And I asked him, I said, well, how was it spending all that money? He just kind of laughed. He said, what money? That sucked. It didn't sell very well. I just went, okay, cool. But he was still there. We had a guy come in who actually wrote some of the episodes of The Walking Dead. And he wrote a Walking Dead video game. And I said, so man, how's all the money? He goes, well, I'm not rich. He goes, but I don't have to work. I said, dude, that's rich. If you don't have to work, you're good. He goes, I can buy a motorcycle whenever I want. That's cool.
I
So
mean,
we
that's
had
cool.
all kinds of people, right? And then we had ex-athletes, ex-NFL players, but then we had the homeless. And I found out one thing working there: depression hits everybody. Suicidal ideations hits everybody. Whatever it is, hits everybody. It doesn't matter. So I started doing these groups. They asked me to, and I didn't know what to say. I was like, hi, my name's Jamie. Y'all are doing cool. All right, have a good day. And then I thought, man, I got to say something better than this. So I started telling them the story I'm telling you now. And I was just open with them. Like, here it is. Da, 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 here's a problem. Here's what you're going through. Here's how we fix it. And they're like, man, you say the complete opposite of the therapist. I said, yeah, I know. And they started requesting me to come do the groups. And I got to the point, I was doing the best groups in the hospital, above the therapist, above the doctors, all of them. They wanted me to talk to them. And I think because I just didn't BS them. I called them out on everything. And some of the people who came in actually knew me. They'd call me out on stuff too, because it's a small town. So many patients come in. I know you 17 years. Yeah, we used to do drugs. Yeah, we did drugs together. Okay, well, now you're a patient. I can't treat you like a friend. Things are different. And then one of the patients said, hey, man, are you a motivational speaker? I said, no. They said you should be. And I was going, yeah, cool, whatever. And then one said I should write a book. And I went, yeah, whatever. And then one of the coworkers said it. And then a nurse said it. And then another patient said it. And then one said if it put my words on a CD, they listened to it in their car. I kind of went, yeah, whatever. And then a coworker said it. And then a nurse said, yeah, I agree. You do really, really good. And I was becoming legendary for those groups that I did. And some of the coworkers would say, man, every time you do that, I get something different. I cry every time you do this group. And I was like, okay. And that was never my intention to be better than the doctor or be better than the therapist. It was never my intention to be the best. And I just wanted to touch somebody before they passed from this world. And then there was an elderly lady who came in her 80s, I think. She was taking care of her grandkids because her kids were on drugs. So she was taking care of her great grand, something like that. So she had a problem. She came to the hospital, came to my group. And I always tell people who have a suicidal ideation, I'm like, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Whatever it is you're dealing with, we can get you through it. You may not like the outcome. You may want $1 million and only get 500,000. We can get you through it, whatever it is. So she left. And about 5 months later, she came back. And she walked up to me, and she was real short. She tapped me. She goes, hey, I want you to know your words saved my life. I said, well, I appreciate that. I didn't ask how and what context. I didn't care. So we're doing this group. She goes, can I say something? I said, yeah, you sure can. Well, she tells a story about how she was in the hospital and that she got out. Things with her kids and grandkids got hard. She had a handful of pills in her hand, and she remembered me saying, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And she put it down, and she came back. She goes, your words saved my life. And that's when I backed up. I looked at God, I looked up. I said, okay, God, I have something to say. So I wrote a book called A Man Rising. Haven't sold very many copies of it, but I've sold them worldwide. In France, in Africa, in Dubai. People have my book. In Canada and Mexico, people have my book. And I've sold all over the world. That's weird that I'm a worldwide author. That just blows my mind. Whether I sell 100 copies or not. People in France, some know of me. That's just weird to me. That's still weird to me. And through that, I created a system called perspective-driven purpose. Because I found out that everybody, how they view the world is how they show up in the world. Now, I don't fix people. I get them to challenge the lens they're looking at things through, and then everything changes. So I'm not trying to fix anybody. I want you to challenge how you look at things yourself, what people say about you. If someone says something negative, well, they're attacking me. Are they? Or are they just criticizing you? Hey, you shouldn't do this. That's wrong. You're wrong. If someone calls you a punk, here's the thing. If someone calls you a punk, if you are, don't get mad at it because they're speaking truth. If you're not, don't get mad at it. They're lying. It's on them. How are we looking at things? Everything comes from our perspective. Everything in your life will come from two things: your character and your perspective. You will never get hired or fired outside your character and your perspective. You won't lose a girlfriend or get a girlfriend outside of those two. You won't get a raise. You won't get a job. You won't get anything outside of your character and your perspective. How do you look at it? So I challenge them to view the lens that they're looking at the world in and to change it.
Damn, that's awesome. I mean, you take into account. I've always said, at least with this show, if it helps one person, that's all that matters. And the
Right.
fact that you have that same mentality with, like with your words, with your book, I mean, yeah, you may not, you may never sell like 1 million copies of a book, but there's one person out there that has that book and it looks at it, thumbs through it, may read a passage on the right day at the right time,
Right.
can change their life.
Right. I
So
think I've
that's
sold
awesome.
130. Yeah, I think I've sold 137 copies so far, and it's been
Hey,
out for a couple of years.
to be
So,
fair, that's 137 more copies than any book that I've ever thought about writing. So,
right.
well, I mean, and that's great. I mean, being able to, to do something. I was always taught, if you're gonna do something, always have the mindset that you're going to be the best at what you do.
Right.
So, because if you're just thinking about doing something and you're like, oh well, I mean, it's not very good, if you're already putting your product down, like whether it be like say a podcast, a book, a CD, whatever. If you're already putting it down in front of people, what makes them want to, like buy into it? So, like I was always taught, if you're gonna do something, whether it be a job, a hobby, a mindset, be the best at what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have another approach. Never have a plan B. I heard about a mighty warrior. I forget his name, but him and his crew traveled by boat to some land they were going to conquer. So they all get off the boats, and he says, "Now burn the boats." So they're burning the boats, and while he's doing it, he says, "All right, guys, we can't leave. We either take this land or we die trying to take this land. There's no plan B. There's no retreat." And I think sometimes in life we need to burn our boats. There's no going back. It's
Oh,
forward or nothing.
I
And so
definitely agree. Yeah,
right,
I mean,
right.
the
And until
minute
we
that you
get
have a plan B, you're already accepting a defeat.
right. I think you can have a plan B as far as a way to accomplish it, but not a plan B to completely not not try it at all.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah,
No.
definitely.
Right.
I know whenever I'm like, if I'm doing something with my job, or if I'm doing something with my my family, like if we're planning something, I gotta have a plan A, B, C, D, because life always has a way to fuck everything up. So
Yep.
being able to plan something and being able to pivot, when needed is a great idea. But if whenever I started this podcast, I was like, well, I mean, I could do this, but it's probably not. I could have easily just been like, but nobody's ever going to listen to it, and I don't even know why I'm doing it, and then just easily give up. But no, I didn't. I did it, put it out there, and 56 fucking countries later, people are listening to this show. I mean, it
Yeah,
may
that's
not get
cool.
like tremendous views, but that doesn't matter to me. What matters is that there's somebody in at least 56 different fucking countries have listened to this show, and that is a win for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always heard it said that you probably can't change everybody in the world, but for one person, you change the world.
Absolutely.
And
I
and
definitely agree.
yeah,
So what
that's what we need.
what motivates Jamie on bad days?
My daughter, my grandchildren, the fact that I'm not going to be my dad. My dad was a factory worker, and he died a factory worker. I'm not going to die a factory worker. I'm not going to die doing something menial. And I'm not bad mouthing factory workers at all. We need them. That's how we get cars and production and technology. But sometimes you just feel like you're meant for more.
Oh yeah, I can
I'm
get
meant
that.
for, and again, nothing bad on factory workers at all. I've worked in several factories. My dad, of course, did it, but I'm not going to be that. And that's what motivates me is there's more out there, and I plan on grabbing it.
You consider yourself kind of like insatiable for, positive achievements?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
All right, so whenever you whenever people like are coming to you, like in let's just call it what it is, in some of their darkest moments, has there ever been one of these people that that got you, like, just like emotionally, just like you had to step back and been like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah. A few times someone will say something to me, and I'm like, I have to think for a minute because I don't know quite how to answer this. And I learned to listen, to understand, and not listen to reply. And that helped me a lot when they hit me with those whoa moments. I would listen to what are they trying to say, because sometimes people don't want you to even say anything. They just want to gripe. They just want to get it off their chest.
Like,
But when
yeah.
they hit me with, but when they hit me with the whoa moments, I'll be honest, I just kind of sit there and go whoa with them. I don't try to put things on them. I don't try to say things. I just go whoa with them. Like, that's pretty rough. Okay. And I never try to just get my message out. I always say, do you mind if I say something about that? Because I found out it really works a whole lot better if someone gives you permission to speak into what they're going through. It tends to get received a whole lot better.
All right. All right. When was the last time you cried?
Uh, it's been a while.
I'm just gonna just assume that, I mean, like I'm about to be 43, so like I'm assuming that, like, we grew up in roughly that same type of period where we were always told men didn't cry.
All right.
So I mean, but and even if that we were both raised by like by a woman, like it was still very, hard for us to be okay with being,
Right.
emotional. We were always made it, the name calling, or you like told to toughen up, or you like all that stuff. When did you realize that was bullshit?
I guess I've always realized that, but probably when I was working at the psychiatric hospital, we were having these kids who were like, "You don't cry, this and that, da 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 da," and they're talking about how tough they were and how they did this and that. And I said, "Man, if you're so tough," I said, "you wouldn't be in here." And they just kind of looked at me, and I said, "Man, crying doesn't make," or I said, "Not crying doesn't make you tough." I said, "Having things to cry about and realizing you can't, that's what makes you tough." So working at the hospital is probably when I really realized that, hey, it's cool for men to cry.
I mean, yeah, I think, oh God, I had been like close to like, well, I think whenever my daughter was born was like like I said, like the one time in my life where I was like openly cried. And then I think as I've gotten older, there's been some, like, maybe some like emotional detachment from certain things. But I
Right.
think as I've gotten older, the more I think allowed myself to be a lot more vulnerable. I honestly blame my fiance for that, and I've never letting her live that down. Like, she'll like send me this, like she'll send me a video on like TikTok or something like that, and I'll be like, oh, okay, and then like I'll scroll to the next one, and it's like kids ringing cancer bells, or like soldiers coming
Right.
home, and I'm like, oh,
Right. I get the most broken up when I hear stories, survival stories of people who've gone through worse than me, and they come up out of it. I'm like, dude, why am I complaining? And I used to tell people there are others in third world countries who are praying for the life you're complaining about. It's like an adage I heard one time, or saying it said, I was upset I had no shoes until I saw a man that had no feet. Again, perspective. What lens are you looking through? I saw a picture of a kid laying on his belly drinking water from a mud puddle, and underneath it said, "Be humble."
oh yes, yes.
Yeah, we're not drinking mother. We're not eating from trash cans. We're not drinking from mud puddles. We have a house over our head. What are we complaining about? Why?
What was your most humbling moment?
First time I held my daughter, no, no. The most humbling moment was when I was walking through the dojo and they said, "Look at him. He's on drugs now." That was humbling. It was more humiliating than it was humbling, but it did the same effect. That was the most humbling right there.
Do you think people from your past still have that visual of you being at your lowest and that's all that they see?
100%. When I started cleaning up, I went to ex-friends, girlfriends, family members, and apologized to them. Man, I was a jerk. Sorry, this and that. A lot of them were like, man, we understand you were on drugs. But there were a couple who were like, we don't care. You were a jerk, then you're still a jerk. They didn't care. Yeah, there's still some who see me that way.
Do you ever feel like you still have people that you have to prove wrong?
Nope. Just the guy I look at in the mirror.
Is that the hardest one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Always. We are our own worst enemy. And that's where, again, the perspective comes in. What lens am I looking at? Me, my life, my future, and my desires through? Am I looking at like I need to achieve this because I have to prove something? Or I need to achieve this because there are people I need to help? Well, let's go with the latter one. That's what it is. I want to provide for my mom in her aged years. I want to provide for my daughter. She's just starting out as a new mom. She has 3 kids, one on the way. I want to be able to provide for her and give her a start I didn't have. So I'm not even out to prove me wrong, but I'm the one I try to prove wrong.
When you were writing the book, was it easy for you, or was it like really challenging?
No, it was a piece of cake. And the more I wrote, the more memories came out. And I would even talk to mom about some things. And she'd go, no, that's not how it happened. She would straighten me out from my childhood, things I didn't remember correctly. So I got it all right. And emotion came out and a lot of closure happened in the book. No, it was a piece of cake. For me, it was. The hardest part was actually getting started. But once I started putting it all down and typing it all in and making edits, yeah, then it just flowed. It just came out.
That's what I love about writing is that like the hardest part for me whenever I'm like whether it be like a short story or a poem or something like that. The hardest part for me was always like getting started, but as soon as I got a good line and the whole rest of it was just like I had to stop. Somebody had to stop me, or else I'd wait. I'd look over at the clock the next second and realize it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I have to be at work at 6. So,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
with your life the way that it is now, if you were to be able to go back, in time, would you want to change anything?
No. No. Because I like the guy I am now. And if you change something, you don't know who you would become on one little change. I'm not saying that I needed the addiction and I needed the martial arts and I needed anything to become who I am, but I became who I am because of those things in my past. No, I wouldn't change nothing.
Would you, I mean, as somebody that suffers with an addictive personality, um, and with you having your addictions, would you say that you're still addicted to, I don't know, like bettering yourself? Like 'cause
Bettering
that
myself,
too can be an addiction.
right. To bettering myself, yes. And I think we should all be addicted to that one thing, to bettering ourselves. I have one goal every morning, and it's to be better today than I was yesterday. And that's the same goal. It never changes. And every day I do become a little better. If I learn one line of something, if I help one person, if somebody says, hey, man, I remember when you and I did this and that helped me through the day, become better 1% every day.
Okay, okay, okay. With everything that you've gone through, what's one word that after if you look back on your life back then and your life like right now, what's one word that you would like that comes to mind?
Huh. Protected, blessed, since I became a Christian, I started looking back on my life. There are many instances I probably should not have walked out alive. I mean, me and some friends went to kick in some doors of people who were drug users' money, so we were there to collect their stuff. And I remember we knocked on a door, and a buddy of mine was kind of behind me. The guy answered. Before I could answer, my friend goes, "We're here to take your stuff." The guy goes, well, he stepped in front. He goes, "We're here to take your stuff." And the guy sat on the couch, and we walked through his house and took what we wanted. And yeah, probably could have died then. So one word, protected, blessed. Yes.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you definitely were protected. I'm very, very blessed. What's your relationship like with your daughter now?
Oh, very good. She's 23 now. She thinks she knows it all and still argues against things. And then I say, "Honey, you should listen." She's like, "Well, I'm da 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 da." I'm like, if you would just listen. But like most people, we have to learn from our own mistakes. But yeah, it's a good relationship. It's a very good relationship.
Is it hard for you? Because like dad to dad here, like, is it hard for you to watch your children make like a mistake or something, like do something similar to some of the things that we did as kids, and you're like, that's a dumb idea. Is it hard for you to watch them do it, knowing that they have to make this mistake?
Absolutely. And see, they don't have to make it. They just choose to. We just rebel against what our parents say. We rebel against authority. We did when we were kids. We didn't listen to God, the cops, the pastor, the doctor. We didn't listen to nobody. We did it our own way. And all my years of perspective-driven purpose at the psych hospital of helping people, I realized something. If we would listen to our parents when they said, "Say your prayers, use your manners, yes ma'am, no sir, don't talk to strangers, don't play with a loaded gun, don't do drugs," if we'd listen to all that, we'd be a lot better off.
Oh God, yeah.
But we didn't. We didn't have to make those mistakes. We just chose to. Parents don't know any better. We know it all. We're kids. We rule the world. Yay us! Yay! No, we're stupid. I look at kids now and I go, "Man, was I that stupid when I was that age?" And I go, "Yeah, I was that stupid." I'll be talking to my daughter about stuff that we did, and she goes, "Dad, why did you guys do that?" And I just go, "We were dumb." we don't. Yeah, we don't have it. There's no explanation of why we did half the stupid crap we did.
No,
and we did a lot of stupid stuff. My goodness.
I know. I always tell my kids, because I had a discussion with my two boys. My oldest son asked me what I was like whenever I was a kid. I was like, I was an idiot, straight up. I was like, I was. If you ask me if it's just me and one person, sweet. I would help anybody that I could, blah, blah, blah. But if you got me together with the boys, we were morons. Like, I'm jumping out of a second story house window just to see if I could hit the tree.
Yeah.
Jumping out of a moving car because the driver that was giving me a ride home didn't want to stop in my parking lot or in my driveway. So he slowed down. He's like, open up the van door, tuck and roll. And I did it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how I didn't die.
Right. It's, whew. Man, if we could make a movie out of our life, it would put 1,000 Ways to Die to shame.
Oh God, yeah, I know. I mean, actually, I watched that show and I was like, did it.
Yeah, thought about it. Yeah,
it was on the list.
Yeah.
So, with this new, it's not really new. You've had it for a while now. So, with this perspective that you have, and you look at the world that that we're living in now, and how crazy and how insane it's gotten. What do you think would be the best way to help this lost generation?
Bring him to Jesus. I don't believe we have a mental health problem. I don't believe we have a drug problem. I don't believe we have a physical problem. I think we have a spiritual heart problem. Straight up what it is. And that's why psychiatrists can't heal anybody. They don't cure no one. That's why our medicines don't work. We're taking a wrong approach to it. We had people at the psych hospital who came 15, 16 times. If we're supposed to help them, why are they coming 15, 16 times? Well, what we do as doctors in health, we blame them. They're not putting in the effort. Well, no. It's up. They're coming to us. And I was just watching Tony Robbins. I'm in one of his 3-day events. Today was day 2. He was talking about the way he started his career. And he started his career, getting a loan, going to an event, a seminar, getting some training, reading books. But he was on a radio station. And this doctor called in and called him a quack. Said he needs to go to jail. He needs to be barred from ever talking to people. And Tony said, "Have you met me?" The guy said, "No." He goes, "Have you studied what I do?" The guy says, "No." He said, "Are you a scientist?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "So you guys test stuff?" He said, "Yeah." Tony said, "Well, I'm coming to like a Hilton Inn or whatever it was tomorrow night. Why don't you show up and bring one of your patients?" He said, "You have one that you have problems healing?" And there was a woman who had a snake phobia. The doctor had been treating for 7 years on the snake phobia. And Tony said, "Well, why don't you bring her?" So he showed up, and the building held 100 people. There were 500 people there because they heard the radio station. They were there to see the shootout between Tony Robbins and this licensed psychiatrist. So the psychiatrist walked in. He stood in front of Tony, and Tony looked at him. He goes, "I knew it was a doctor." And all the doctor said was, "Here's a woman." Ha! And he walked off. Tony brought her up on stage, told the audience what the problem was, phobia of snakes. I forget what it's called. And so he was talking to her. He goes, "So how do you feel about snakes?" And when he did that, she was drooling and she was shaking. So for 17 minutes, he talked to her. And then later he goes, "How do you feel about snakes?" And she kind of jumped back. She goes, "Well, I don't like them." He goes, "Yeah, but you're not shaking now. You're not drooling." So he went and got a bag. You could see something moving in the bottom of it. You knew it was a snake. He pulled out a little gardener snake, which isn't poisonous. He said, "You want to hold this?" And she kind of drew back, and he goes, "Yeah, but you're not shaking." So she reached out, she grabbed the snake and squeezed it. He goes, "Man, don't kill it." And before it was done, she was touching the snake. He cured her in one night, what a psychiatrist couldn't do in 7 years. He got it because he hit the target. And that's it, is we're missing it so much. Yeah, there's no mental health problem. It's a spiritual heart problem. All of it.
Yeah, putting it like that. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm not a super big fan of the way that the doctors have kind of given up on really helping people, because it's literally what they're supposed to do, but they feel like they just drag it out. I know that for from like prime example of myself is that I have an addiction issue. And any time that I ever went to or talked to a doctor, they're like, "Oh, well, we can give you this and we can give you that." I was like, that sounds like you're just putting a Band-Aid on the problem. And then I went to, whenever I got saved and started going to church, I know that I started having the knowledge that I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to do any of that stuff anymore. So I just didn't.
Yeah.
Doctors didn't help me. God did.
Right. And I heard 2 things said one by a doctor, one by a therapist. One therapist is doing a group. She's talking about the darkness that people in. And she goes, "Now you are going to have this darkness your whole life." She said, I just looked at her. I went, "Why are you telling them they have to have this darkness their whole life? Why are we paying you to tell them this? You don't have to have a darkness your whole life." I hate the phrase once addicted, always addicted. No. That's like saying once in darkness, always in darkness. No. And then I saw the doctor. He would talk to people, like he does these meetings with therapists and this and that. And he would ask, "Do they have insurance time left?" And I saw him where someone said, "No, they're out of insurance." He says, "Then get them out." And they're not ready to go. And then they would say, "No, they have insurance time." He would say, "Okay, keep them." And they were ready to go. It's all about money. I saw that and just lost faith in it, man. Just like, so they can't pay. Are you there to help someone? And just because they can't pay, don't keep them longer. That was dumb.
Oh, God, yeah. See, that's why people have so much problems with the medical industry.
Right.
I will say this, though. Like, I did spend and I say it jokingly and very affectionately. I spent a week in the Nut Hut, and it was the best week of my entire life. I learned more about myself in that week with those people, not the doctors, not the psychiatrists,
Right.
but
With the
the
people.
patients. I learned more about
Yeah.
myself and the other people and how their plight, their stories can affect anyone and everyone around.
Right, right. Whenever I did a group, I always told them that they were the most important people of the job. And if I could have done it for free, yeah, I would have done it for free. But I learned as much from them, I hope, as they learned from me. And what I learned is that most people aren't broken. They're just simply stuck in the same cycles of frustration, self-doubt, whatever. The real problem is it's not your past, though. It is your perspective. Again, back to that. But it's like I said, once you change how you see the world, you'll change how you show up in it. So, and a lot of that has to do with how you speak about yourself, forgiveness of yourself and other people. And I believe in the power of words. The late, great martial artist Bruce Lee one time said, never speak anything about your body, or don't speak anything negative about your body, even joking. The body doesn't know the difference. And that is a lot to it. In the Bible, it says, power of life and death are in the tongue. Out of the abundance of the heart, someone speaks. So what are we speaking about ourselves? I am pretty, I am strong, I am fast, I am smart, I am great. Or I am retarded, I am fat, I am dumb, I am lazy, I am ugly. What are we speaking about ourselves? You speak it long enough, you will start to believe it, even if it's not true. Any lie told on a big enough scale, Hitler's right-hand man said this, any lie told on a big enough scale will eventually be believed as the truth. What are we speaking?
Oh, absolutely. If there is one, say, quote that you try to live your life by the most, what do you think it is?
My martial arts instructor told me, he said, the best way to avoid a situation, don't make it. I try to live by that. Well, now, there's things you can't control, obviously, but there's a lot you can control. Don't make situations. Don't cheat on your wife. Don't cheat on your husband. Don't go do the drugs. You want to stop smoking? Don't go to the cigarette store. Don't make the situation that you don't want to create.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Where can people get your book if they're if they want to buy it?
Yeah, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, it's online. You can go to like Amazon, look up A Man Rising, my name, Jaime McCormick. Now, there's another book called A Rising Man. That's not me. Mine is A Man Rising. I didn't know there was a rising book or a rising man, or I would have changed my name. But yeah, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Kindle, whatever it's called, the little Kindle library. But yeah, they can get it online pretty much anywhere.
Okay,
And
awesome.
yeah, and the way I came up with the name is I was wanting something like Steel and Thunder, we wanted this real rock and roll name. And then a friend of mine, Kenneth, walked up. I hadn't seen him in years. He went, Jaime McCormick. He held out his hand. I went to shake his hand. And as I did, he said, A Man Rising. And I went, boom, there's my name of my book. Freaking fantastic, So, but yeah, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, places like that, they can get it.
Well, that's great, and I strongly encourage people to buy it. Hell, whenever we get off here, I'm going to put it in my Amazon in my basket, and whenever I have the funds, I'll be making that purchase because I'm rebuilding my library, so. But
I
yeah,
appreciate that, for sure. I've had different reviews. Someone slammed me for being a Christian. Now, in the book, I don't talk about coming to God. I don't talk about Jesus. I talk about my personal path. And she really slammed me on it. Well, people can do what they want. I just don't appreciate it. It's like, man, whatever. It's not your story. Shut up. But then others have said it's the most motivational, relatable book they've ever read. So there's some good reviews on it, But others are kind of zing me without directly zinging me on it.
well, the thing about reviews is people either get it or they don't.
Well, they don't.
There's just some people that just are out there that just they may have never fucking read your book, but they're like, you know what? I don't like that guy for whatever reason. I'm going to make up in my head.
Right. A lot of that, yeah, that's how it happens.
That's the fun thing about the world that we live in is people can look at you from across the room and be like, well, like I don't like him. He looks like he's like a scary dude, or he looks like
Right.
he's judgmental, or like he looks never has anything. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some people may have met you, and maybe you had a bad day, and maybe you are an asshole. Who knows? But you know what? Hey, I own it.
Right, right.
I always tell everyone, I was like, I am exactly who you think that I am. And I
Yep.
just and I'm perfectly fine with it. If I'm an asshole, okay. If I'm the villain of your story, perfect. I can play that role. Whatever you need me to be, I can definitely be. But I can promise you, at the end of the day, while you're thinking about all the things that like I said or did, I'm not thinking about you at all. So,
That's it.
I mean
That's it.
that's the
Half
best
the
way to do
people,
it.
right, right. Half the people that you're holding a grudge against probably don't even know you have a grudge, and if they do, they probably don't care.
Oh no, I mean, yeah,
That's why I talk about forgiveness. It's like holding poison, expecting someone else to get mad or expecting someone else to die from it. No, you're the one drinking it.
right, yeah,
Forgiveness isn't for them. Forgiveness is for you, so you
yeah.
don't hold the grudge.
And I like to and I let's actually talk about the forgiveness. You talked about you hugging that guy and and basically forgiving. I
Right.
mean, at the time, for anybody that was probably one of like the strangest things anybody could do. But the
Yeah.
way that you told that story, it seemed like the easiest thing for you to do. So is
Yeah.
forgiveness is that just like an easy thing for you to do if or like in
Well,
every situation, or have you struggled with
uh,
it?
no, I've had struggles with it. So my ex called me and said, "Hey, I'm pregnant. Leave me for your best friend." Well, I was mad. I went looking for him. I was going to smash his face in because I put friends on a pedestal. Thought my friends did the same thing. No, no, not so much. If you're my friend, you know it. I treat you that way. And have I hurt friends? Yeah. Have I done things I regret? Yeah. But I try to always treat them like they're friends. So he and I didn't talk for like 13 years, and he tried. He showed me pictures of him and I together, their arms around each other. I just put it face down. I wanted nothing to do with it. Didn't want the relationship. Didn't want anything. 10 years ago, he shoots himself in the head. Wow. I go to his funeral, and I can still see the bullet hole. They had cotton and makeup on it, but you knew what it was. And as I was looking at him, all of a sudden I wasn't mad. All of a sudden I forgave him. I had no animosity toward him. And it's weird that it takes our own morality to be checked or the death of someone else for us to get serious about life. All of a sudden, I was looking down in a coffin going, I would have, I should have, I could have. Yeah, but I didn't. It's one of those things. Imagine if I had of the friendship we could have had, maybe he wouldn't have killed himself. But I don't put a lot of stock in it because since he killed himself, I look back, since I've known him, I see every step how it led to him killing himself. I see it now. I didn't see it then. But now I can see where everything led to that. But so, yeah, I've sure struggled with it. And unfortunately, I didn't forgive people until they were dead. It was too late. Then I forgive them.
Yeah, I think I think that's one of those things that there's a lot of people that struggle with that. There's like I know there's like a lot of I try not to hold grudges.
Right.
I always tell everyone that I can forgive easy. And it's just the fact is that there are sometimes I just can't forget as easy. Whether it be relationships with my dad or like some friends or like coworkers or like somebody that had kind of slighted me in any kind of way. I can forgive them. There's just a
Yeah.
lot of like I may have a shitty memory, but there are certain things that I just can't not forget. So I
Right.
think
Right.
I think there's people out there that do struggle with that. And I think at the end of the day, like whenever it takes those those moments of looking at somebody in an urn or in a casket where you're like a fucking idiot for
Right.
dragging this on whenever this could have been like a 5-minute conversation.
Yep. Yep. So we were friends for several years, best friends, and then we didn't speak for 13 years. Now he's been dead for 10. I was like, man. Now, I'm not saying if I would have approached it differently, he still wouldn't be dead, but that thought's there. What if?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know? So I try to not have a grudge. I try to talk to everybody because, like I said earlier, people are not guaranteed tomorrow. talk to them today. There's been several times, I'm sure, or 2 times I know of, God put someone on my heart. And I said, I'm going to go tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow. I get a call. Hey, they're dead. Whoa, what do you mean they're dead? One time I was actually on my way to this woman's house to talk to her. And I got the call she was dead. And she'd been on my heart for a couple of months to go to. And I just kept putting it off and kept putting it off. And I just pulled over alongside the road. Was like, huh. I had 2 months. Didn't know she was going to die the day. There are people who died last night that had plans for today. You know, there are people who are going to die tonight that have plans for tomorrow. We just assume everyone has tomorrow. No, we don't. I heard it put this way best. We always talk about one more day, tomorrow. This guy said, every day you wake up, it's one less day you have of life. And I went, whoa. And he's right. The moment you're born, you're counting down to the day you die. We're not adding days. We're losing days. I have more days behind me than I have in front of me. If I die when I'm 80, I have 25 years of life left. I'm 55 now. If I die when I'm 80, I have 25 years of life left. If I make it to 80. That's not long to get something done and something going. To get a legacy. Someone said, well, isn't it selfish to want to have a good legacy? I said, man, people are going to think something good or bad. Why don't you want them to think something good? I want people to think good about me. I don't want them going that, sucker of whatever and this butthole. No, I don't want no one thinking that. And are the people going to? Man, more than likely. But I can do my job or not my job, but the best I can to ensure that doesn't happen a whole lot.
Speaking of that, and that's usually one of the questions that I ask, is whenever you look back, what do you hope your legacy is?
I want to be a man who changed his life, who did his best to bring his people and other people to God, to tell them about Jesus, to tell them about this life that we can have, to let them know that life isn't okay, that they're worthy because they exist. As long as they have breath, they have purpose. I want to be that when people look at me, they go, man, that dude tried everything he could to affect as many people as he could before he died. That's the legacy I want to have.
Okay. Who do you look up to the most?
I'll be honest, really not many people. I don't look up to a whole lot of people. Like they're my idols. What I don't have that.
Oh no. Oh, see. Okay. So yeah, I don't believe in idols. I believe there's people out there that inspire me to be a better version of myself.
Right. I have a friend named Mosabella. She's from Vietnam. I met her a couple years ago at a marketamericanshop.com event, organization I was part of. It decided not to be. And it's basically where you get paid for shopping. People shop, you make money. I figured we all shop, why not get paid for it? Well, not everybody feels that way, and I didn't make a lot of money at it. But I met her, and she is one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. She has nothing bad to say about anybody. And if she does, she'll come say it to you. You'll never hear her talking about anybody. I look up to her. I don't look up to like Tony Robbins or even Bruce Lee. I look up to certain things they've said. Like there are a lot of people who have said things I'm like, ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. But yeah, her name's Mosa, and that's probably who I look up to the most. I met her a couple years ago. And before that, I never had really a lot of people that I just looked up to. I wish I could say my dad was my hero. He wasn't. Didn't know him. My mom was my hero. My uncles are my heroes. They did raising lay. They did a lot of raising me. My stepdad was my hero. He raised us. We were young. We were 2 to about 8 or 9. So he was my hero. But yeah, so that's probably it.
All right, so as this winds down, one of the last questions that I ask is, what do you admire most, or what do you appreciate the most about your life right now?
The fact that I went from a punk, scummy drug addict to a man that people look up to and a good father. That's what I admire the most.
Yeah, those are things that you should appreciate, and I appreciate the fact that you came on here to tell your story, because I've always said with this show that one person's story could save one person's life out
Right.
there.
Right. I believe our story is for other people. I believe our life is given to us to give away.
And one of the things that I like to do on the show at the end, especially with new guests that I've like just meet or just talk to, uh, is my final like the final thoughts on you as a person. Because just listening to your story, and this is one of the lovely things about this show is that I get to hear people's stories and hear the rise, the falls, the pitfalls, the comebacks, but the the genuineness that you project, the thoughtfulness, the passion for not bettering yourself, much less like the people that are in your orbit, dude. You're a motivator, and I know that's kind of what your thing is, but I think you would be more. I think you could be a motivation to it, or have a motivated thought to anyone that is around you if you were just sitting and being quiet, because that's just how you project yourself. And I think that is one of those rare qualities in people today, is that you have this projected strength. And I'm not talking about like the muscles or anything like that. I'm talking about like the emotional strength, the mental strength, like the spiritual strength that we as a society, and we as people forget that is important. And I think that what you do, and how you what you have done with your life, and how many people you've changed, you know, that's admirable. And honestly, I'm in awe.
Appreciate that.
So thank you very much for
Appreciate it.
everything that you do, man. I mean, that is like the book, the changing people's lives what your job is, and like the bringing people to God. I mean,
Right.
that's what we're supposed to do in life, and you're doing
I
it, and
agree.
I fucking love it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I also started a skateboarding company called Skate Angry, and it's to give kids an option to stay off the streets, stay out of jail. We've partnered with the local college to help give them scholarships and funds for education if they don't want to be a pro skater, but we give them the opportunity to go to a contest to become pro skaters, whatever we can to get them off the streets. That's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. All right, so the last thing here is that if you have anything that you'd like to pimp out, promote. I mean, you did the skate thing. Just, here's your chance. Go for it.
No, just Skate Angry. It started kind of as a joke. I was skating, and a buddy of mine went, "Dang, Jamie, don't skate angry," because I'd hit the ground and I'd get them fast as I could. And then I thought, man, let's make the skate company. But I'm not a pro skater, so what can we do with it? Well, let's help promote the kids around here, because I was young around here, and all we did was punk things. And so I created a team called the Skate Angry Hood Rats. And the reason is people think of skaters as punks, losers, as hood rats. So let's do something with it. Are you a hood rat? Yes, I am. I'm a Skate Angry hood rat. And Skate Angry is about being mad. It's what we do when we're mad. It's for the people who dream weird and talk too much and talk too loud and are just too silly. It's for people who would rather skate because therapy is too expensive or breakdowns too slow. And so that's all Skate Angry is about. So yeah, Skate Angry is on Facebook and on Instagram. Look it up. We got some cool deck designs, got more coming. And our whole goal is to change people before we die. Let's give them a reason to live. Let's take skating and make it something it's never been before.
Oh, definitely go check that out. Check out his book on Amazon.
Horizon.
Yep. Check it out, buy it, change your life. Jamie, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's great meeting you. And
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And it was definitely my pleasure. All right. So, all right, everyone, I guess we'll be chatting with you later.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Shannon, it's James. Happy birthday, brother. I'm glad you were born. I think I could tell something about you, dude, even from your video. You are smart, you are funny, and you don't take yourself too seriously. I know this is true because I've never met someone who loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer who was any different. I've met Buffy fans all over the world, and I think that we all share these traits. And I'm a Buffy fan myself. I didn't make Buffy. I was in Buffy, so I get to be a fan if I want to. I'm not bragging, I didn't direct it, I didn't write it, but I'm not stupid. Buffy was an awesome show. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. So I can tell if we ever meet each other, and I hope we do, that we're going to have a great conversation. So I am going to read. Here's Spike. Hey, Shannon, here we go. I'm going to sing you a bit of a ditty. I've been rehearsing it. Understand you happy meals, you like this on your birthday, so here goes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shannon. Happy birthday to you and many more. Happy birthday, brother.
Let me tell you guys something. That was an amazing interview. I learned and felt so just motivated by Jamie. He really is a powerful creation from God. He the way that he bounced back from drugs and his brother dying, and learned more and more about himself as time went on. It was honestly one of those amazing things that I honestly could not put into words how just touched that I was, because I'm looking at this guy, and I'm listening to Jamie's story, and it's most people in this world would have folded, but not Jamie. Jamie kept going, and Jamie refused to quit. And now he's not just standing and getting back up himself, but he's doing it to help others too. He's helping others. He is an anchor for many people out there that his life has touched, and that is admirable. That is courageous. That is a true man right there. And Jamie, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate you telling your story. Dad to dad, addict to addict. There's not much in this life that can change a person. And being a dad and being an addict are two of those things. And you achieved both of them. You changed your life twice, and now you're out there helping other people change theirs. You're a true man of God, and I appreciate that the most about you. So good luck to Jamie with his life, and with his world. Like you said, go to check out Skate Angry on Facebook. Check out their stuff. Find his book, A Man Rising, and maybe that will be one of those things that'll change your life. Jamie was a great dude. He was a great interview. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you again. I don't know how many times I can thank a person for coming on, but I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm very appreciative of people that come on and tell their story, because their story could save somebody else's life. And that's what I love about this show. That being said, I want to say you guys changed mine. I've said many times on the show that this show has changed my life entirely, and I will never not tell you guys. So 6 years of this podcast going, the 90-something episodes that we've shared with each other, you've listened to, you've been on, you've made reference about how a lot of these stories have affected you, or you were just enamored with the guest. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys taking your time out of your day, whether it be driving to work, while you're at work, or just bored. You guys watch and you guys listen, and to a man that really has no business doing this, but here I am and I'm doing it, and I'm not just changing people's lives, I changed mine. 6 years ago I made a decision to do this podcast, and I don't think I could have made a better decision. For every tear that was shed, for every story that was told, a little bit of my heart and my mind and my soul and every part of me realized it opened my eyes up to humanity a lot more. It made me care about people a lot more. And yeah, there's been times this show has really gotten to me, and it made me have to step back every once in a while, but I'm always here. I always come back. This show is a very large part of my existence, and I'm so glad that we're on this journey together. So thank you very much. From the bottom of my heart, I love each and every one of you. I appreciate all of you. For every person that has watched this show, for every person that has listened to this show, shared links, wear the merch, or just ask me when the next one is. Don't think that I don't appreciate that, because I do. I love this. 6 years going strong, and we're still going. We're still getting started. There's goals that I have met. There's people that I have left to interview. There's people that are gonna come back. Because trust me, I promise you, our friend Rosie will be back. Our friends Nellie and Brittany, they will be back. There's plenty of people that have stories that want to come on this show. Right now, all it is just trying to find the time. And while there are so many other podcasts out there that are consistent with their days and stuff like that, my life is anything but consistent. But that does not ever stop me from getting anything done. No, does it? So thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. I do. I appreciate people like Jamie coming on the show, telling their story. I appreciate people like Pete coming on the show, talking about their story and what both of those two did with it. I appreciate Brittany and Nellie coming back onto the shows to give us a little life lesson or a little callback to how things are going with them. I appreciate all of it. I do. I appreciate the fact that I ramble on and you guys listen to it. And then let me know that I was rambling like I didn't know that already. Talking to you, RJ. Anyway, I appreciate it. I love you guys. 6 years. More stories. And just never forget, I absolutely love being in your head.